And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, bringing it to you here from Westlake Village, California. Another beautiful Thursday out there. Let's jump in right into what we've been talking about over the past couple of days. And yeah, starting out with the dollar, 4 weeks ago, we said, hey, based off the weekly bearish divergence, very, very likely to take a shot down to the bottom side of the range at 106. Call it 105, and with the potential to go down to the green 55. Now that has happened. And what we've been talking about over the past few weeks and days, as Bitcoin has gone, as the dollar's gone down, stocks have gone up, but Bitcoin went down. So a little of a bearish bias there. Additionally, what's happened is the jobless claims report, we said it was going to come out today. If it came out worse than expected, likely the dollar would be bullish and we'd play out a bit of a bounce, which on the daily time frame, we tagged the purple 200. And here's what I would say is on the other side of bearish divergence is bullish divergence. So if we close anywhere here or higher above this wick, which there's 6 hours left in this day, so a lot can happen. And in the hourly, we are just kind of rolling over, testing the top side of the range, excuse me. As we did just have a little bit of a breakout, and as long as we hold really above this pivot, or above this pivot on the hourly time frame, which is going to be between the 0.5 and the 618. So I'm just going to put a little green box right there. And why is that? Well, the dollar to the upside, I've been saying, is likely to hurt Bitcoin more. And don't ask me why. It's just my bearish bias right now. If the dollar does put any kind of rally, I don't think it favors Bitcoin. Could be wrong. But I am looking based off the 4 hour. We got the 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence. 1, 2, 3 gets you a shot to the green 55. So I am looking for a little bit more of a bounce extension on the dollar, which is why, I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place on Bitcoin. And what do I mean by that? Is that now we've played out a major leg down. There is the potential for more based off the higher term time frames, but the lower term time frames say, hey, we could bounce pretty easily from here. And I would say any kind of a 4 hour closure back above 16,754 likely gets us to the top side of the range or somewhere near that green 55. 4 hour closure below 16.1 likely is going to get you a move to the bottom side of the range, and then we play, bounce or not, based on the higher term time frames. Again, so bullish divergence on one side and then bearish divergence on the other side. And I would say the bullish divergence is going to be, I don't know, more significant. Sorry, the bearish divergence is more significant. As we have the slew of higher highs in the RSI and the slew of lower highs in price. What else did we talk about yesterday is the 5-day time frame, and really any kind of a tick back above 17.2 is likely going to get you a much greater move. And I would look for the $18,000 level to get hit. And then it would be lower, higher, not. And that's, in fact, what I'm looking for is a clear stop and reverse point. We're kind of in no man's land right now between 17.2 and 16.1 until Bitcoin or the dollar wants to make a decision. What else do I want to check in on? Again, economic data that came out today. The jobs report came in cooler than expected, lower than expected. What does that mean? What the Fed is doing is not working, and they're going to have to continue with their tightening and the raising of rates, which is what the Fed guy said this morning. I don't remember his name, but he basically said, look, jobless claims, the expectation was 225,000. It came in at 222. So 3,000 less people lost a job last month. And that was less than the previous month. Additionally, housing starts were up from 1.41 million, the consensus, to 1.425, and building permits were up. So all bullish things for the dollar, which does line up for that bounce and tells me if Bitcoin does bounce from here, the bounce is likely to be weaker than not. Okay, so that's it for Mr. Bitcoin. No, I wanted to bring up as well the 5-day volatility signature we've been talking about. And we did get the official cross to the downside. You can see these are barely crossed down. And what we want to see is 2 consecutive closures. So we did say, hey, look, if this does cross down, the bias is to the downside over the next 5 days. However, you know, we're playing it really close here. What else do we have? The 2-day time frame. Stokes are still crossed down. Volatility is beginning to wane here. And so what does that tell me is, I mean, this is, you know, if this was a lower term time frame and the conditions were not so tight, I would definitely say more likely to bounce or not bounce coming into, you know, 17.8 to 18.7. As the impulse move is already played out here. And where does the lower highs typically come in? This would be the green box territory that I'd be looking at. The box of peace and prosperity, or death and despair, as some like to call it. So as long as we're closing below this box, especially on the 2-day time frame, pressure will remain to the downside. And the 2-day Stokes are still crossed down. We'll cross up today above 16,899. So we're right on the edge here, and the hourly time frame is going to govern this next move. Hourly Stokes are up. Volatility is expanding off the lows, and it looks like we are getting some lift off here. However, if we cannot reclaim this area right here, this wick, I do imagine the party gets started as the wick gets taken out. If it doesn't get taken out, sometimes you can get a bit of a little fake out, and on the hourly time where I'd be ready to call this move over is above 16.9, and very likely probably going to get that shot up to that 17.2, the purple 200 right there. What is the dollar doing right now? I'd be interested to see. Yep, putting in a bit of a higher high. So again, we're expecting the higher low right here. And yeah, if the dollar shafts right through there, that would play for a bit of a Bitcoin bounce, maybe through Thursday. We're coming into the weekly close for the CMEs, and something to be aware of. Hourly is taken off here on the CMEs. And again, purple 200, first pass, typically a sell. If we do continue to the upside, you know, really looks like we're going to get that bounce, even though Dixie is, yeah, Dixie's coming down right now. So if Dixie doesn't bounce right now, again, the interplay between Dixie and and Bitcoin has been off over the last couple of days, which has been notable. However, you know, kind of my opinion is right now is that they're sucking liquidity in right now, getting people faked out as this major trend line looks to be broken. You know, what would you want to see if this is going to play out is a move back down to retest the trend line and then continuation and a clearing above the 236 at 17,000 bucks. All right. Other than that, 5-day pressure to the downside. CMEs. Okay, let's take a look at the weekly on the CMEs and putting in a bit of a doji candle at the moment. We still got 1 day and 5 hours left. Is there anything else giving it away on the CMEs? The Stokes just crossed up. If we get volatility expansion, actually, in fact, this was pinned down significantly, pretty tight. I imagine some stops are right there. If we defeat the 21, On the 4 hour, let's see if we're doing it on the hourly, getting the lift off. Yeah, I mean, it looks good for a little bit of a shot to the range high there. All right, so again, daily pressure on CMEs. We did just cross up, so we'll cross down below 17,000 bucks today. So still in a very, very tight range. I imagine, you know, again, explosive move ahead of us right now. The 5-day volatility is on the floor. So as we get expansion or lift off above 20%, should see a move to the tune of about 50%. The next day 5-day closure doesn't happen on CMEs until next week. The weekly Stokes cross up above 16.5. So if CMEs close tomorrow, tomorrow's going to be a big day, guys. Tomorrow, if we cross those Stokes up as volatility is expanding, well, we're just regaining the exponential. Could be in line for a big bounce, guys. So a bit of a no trade zone for me right now. I'm looking for a clear stop and reverse point, and then I will be kind of getting in the next trade. Alrighty. I want to check in on anything else we've been talking about over the past couple of days. Bond yields popping up here. That's bearish for the stock market, bearish for Bitcoin. Palladium's at $2,000. Brent's at $90. Some of the altcoins are in the red today. Solana, everybody wants to know what's going to happen to Solana. Is there more downside with the last 4-hour closure? To me, that looks like, you know, I mean, it's bounce or not here. The last few wicks have put in quite a bounce. We did not take out any wicks. You know, to me, pressure is on to the downside on the 4 hour as long as we're below 1379. So that's it for Solana. Ape, this one, pressure to the downside as long as we're below 310. That's kind of the line in the sand for this one. For me, back above 310, good. Below 310, pressure onto the downside. And the next target for me on this one, I think is about 291, which we got pretty close. XRP, another one looking pretty weak. And as long as we're below that green 55, again, the first pass is usually a rejection. Second pass, however, third or fourth pass, you know, it starts to get weaker, and we're looking at moves up to 42 cents. Otherwise, any kind of a 4 hour back below the 618 here likely produces a greater move down. So below 35 cents and pressure to the downside. Remember, this is one of the altcoins that did not take out its, sorry, did it? It did take out the June low. Nope. The June low, we still haven't taken out the June low, either as Ethereum. Ethereum hanging in there at about 1,200 bucks, and the line in the sand on this one for me is going to be at 1230, back above 1230, looking at probably a run back to the top side of the range. The real area to defeat is going to be 1,300 bucks on a 4 hour time frame. And that's above the green 55. We can start, you know, holding some closures above there, and yeah, very likely Ethereum puts in a greater run all the way up to 1,400 bucks. Other than that, you know, looks like pressure is onto the downside. We got a descending triangle, and this one looks to have already broke to the upside. Wicks have been working very well for, I mean, it broke to the downside, excuse me. So the 4 hour trend broke it to the downside. And that's your first impulse move down, right? So then where are we looking for the lower high to come in? Right in this zone. So got a nice little zone for the 4 hour time frame on Ethereum. Yeah, as long as we're below there, we're going to be pressure onto the downside. And really a greater move on the 4-hour back above $1,300. But other than that, it looks like this 111.13 target would want to get hit. If we use Wix. So that is actually the short-term target would be more like this, right? So if we take these wicks, we get a bounce up to the 618 and then back down to the 1618. That so first target 1144, second target's going to be about 1,088, and that's all the way back from our 2-day hidden bearish divergence, you know, coming way back from there. We've been calling it out. Nice little double top here, and we've been looking for this one to get, well, we got it. We finally got the move down to 1,075. We've been looking for this region to get tagged and probably going to fill in this wick at some point. So the big question on Ethereum, I think right now, is bounce or not, right? Do we get a bounce up here and then play out the move? Or is it going to get continuation alongside of Bitcoin? Line in the sand, even on Bitcoin right now, very, very close. Again, at 16,700. That's going to be a hourly pivot on Bitcoin and a 4-hour pivot as well. So 16, call it 16.8 for Bitcoin to the upside and 16.4 to the downside. We'll see how the market plays out tomorrow. I'm going to save this graph. And, you know, again, I'd expect altcoins to do whatever Bitcoin does, but a little bit more. And do we have any economic data tomorrow that could hurt or help the markets? Let's just check in real quick. 17 minutes. If this recording doesn't save, I'm going to be pretty bummed because my first one did not save. Here we go. Tomorrow. I don't believe we have anything tomorrow. Existing home sales. So existing home sales, if the building permits and housing starts numbers that came out today line up with that, again, bullish for the dollar. And again, if we do see the dollar begin to put in a bit of a rally, up almost 0.5% today, getting shafted on the 4-hour right now, dollar bounce and greater bounces, you know, get extended up all the way. So this is the impulse move. Where do we expect the lower high to come in? Right here. And as long as the dollar is below this level, you can expect pressure to be on to the downside and the lower target to get hit, which is going to be that green 55. And that's where it's going to be bounce or not. All right. That's it for today, guys. Have a blessed day. Take care. I am signing out, and my phone died this time. So hopefully we got the rest of that recording.